Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
She is our catalyst to change today, to make your life better, healthier. We're going to learn a lot. Today, we're going to jump into herbal medicine. And when you see those two words, a lot of people say, oh, that's a little too deep for me. Trust me, I jumped into that a few months ago, and it has made an amazing change in my health. And we'll share that in just a couple of minutes and learn more from her. We call her the Catalyst because she works in herbal medicine. She's a licensed massage therapist. She's does so much, tarot readings. There's a lot going on with Kat Stevens, and she joins us. She's your Catalyst. Welcome back. How you doing?
Good. How are you today?
I'm very well, and I'm so glad that we're going to talk about this because ever since I discovered herbal medicine, now it's been around for literally centuries, I found that it made such a big difference with a health situation I was dealing with. And now I tell everybody, hey, have you tried herbal medicine? Have you talked to people like Kat? Because it really does work. And there's nothing wrong with traditional medicine, right?
Well, and what's funny about most of our prescriptions, different things that we have nowadays, even just like Tylenol, originally the main constituent in it came from a plant. And they just extracted that one piece of that plant to use. And that's why I find herbal medicine to be more effective, is because it has that constituent, but then it has all these other parts to it that help to kind of synthesize it so that your body processes it without, any negative side effects, really.
Thank you. I was just about to say that the all side effects, and I try not to take any, call it traditional medicine, even a Tylenol. I won't even, I'll tough it out if I have a headache, unless it's like, some real pain that I can't manage some other way and I need relief right away. But I try to gravitate away from that. And I'll share with you, I had some stomach issues. I had an ulcer back in 2015. I thought it was back. So I gravitated over to herbal medicine. It made it feel so much better in like 3 days. And when I talk about what was in the bottle, marshmallow root, cat's claw, and catnip. And you say that to people and they're like, what? Catnip? Like, yeah. And marshmallow root, and that, which is a plant, not a real marshmallow. And it worked. Now, it turns out that but my ulcer didn't come back. I just found out last Thursday after, a bunch of tests, that it was gastritis and diverticulitis. I don't even know. I've heard that term. I even had to look it up. I wasn't even sure. But interestingly, this concoction helped it feel better, even though I thought it was an ulcer. So based on that, are those plants also for those other things as well, digestion and things like that?
Yeah, so in general, like marshmallow root, when you were talking digestive stuff, I figured that's probably what you got the marshmallow root for, because that's probably one of the main go-tos for digestive health issues, especially related to irritated gut lining, because marshmallow is one of the highest mucilage contents in any of the herbs, which means it gets really mucusy, liquidy. So it's super moisturizing for like your skin, but mainly it affects all the mucous membranes internally.
Wow.
And the main thing that's protecting your gut internally is mucous membranes. As much as we're kind of maybe grossed out by that, mucus is saving you from a lot of stuff. We find it in our lungs. It keeps away like pollens, especially in your sinuses. So it even helps with like dry nose, dry cough. But particularly, it also has a cooling quality. So if you have an irritation or an inflammation in the gut, it's going to be able to cool that down, as well as get it to be more mucusy or softening.
And thank you for that. I had no idea. So that makes perfect sense. And even when you have gastric issues, even gastritis, many people have more mucus. It just, and that's your body's natural defense because if acid is coming up, it wants to protect and line your esophagus. So that's why a lot of times people with ulcers and things like that, when they eat, they get a runny nose. Like, what's going on? But am I allergic to it? No, it's your body doing what the marshmallow root does in protecting you. Didn't know.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, something I had seen recently was that it actually replaces like excess mucus with the good mucus as well. So, and it does that in the lungs too. And there's different parts of the marshmallow you can eat. There's the root, which is particularly good for like the stomach, and then there's the leaf, which is particularly good for the lungs. And marshmallow root actually originally was how you made marshmallows too.
Was it really?
It was, yeah. I was curious, so I looked it up. And traditionally, because it is that gelatinous texture, when you leave it to sit for a while, that's traditionally how they used to make marshmallows. So it
Cool.
was an herbal thing before.
And catnip is catnip.
It's, yep, same catnip, same everything. Yep. It's really actually good for fever reducing as well. So that can also help with the inflammation. I've used it for my kids in particular when they've had really high fevers or have seemed just really sick out of nowhere. I'll steep a big pot of it, make like a tea out of it, pour the tea into the bathtub because when you do herbal baths, you put a whole bunch of herbs in there. It's like a nightmare to clean up. So I found the best way is to steep it as tea before and then pour the concentrate into your bathtub. Hmm.
Wow. Didn't
Yeah.
even think of that. It reminds me almost like in a way like essential oils when you're doing that.
Hmm. Yeah, it's the same kind of idea. With essential oils, you're usually not concentrating because since that's again another small portion of the plant, it's the volatile oil or basically the smell of a plant. So most plants, if they have a smell, they have some sort of essential oil. Not all of them, but it's considered kind of the like life force, like really fiery part of the plant. So you don't want to do high concentrations in a bath because you're getting it directly on your skin. And I don't know if you've ever experienced taking a bath with peppermint essential oil, but it's actually not super pleasant. It's
Never
even a
did.
little bit, it's pretty cold. It feels cold. It's just, and it's not super great for your mucous membranes either. But
Huh.
it's great if you rub it in like a muscle rub and stuff. So usually if I put essential oils in a bath, I mix it with a carrier oil so that way it actually disperses in the whole bathtub versus when you do drops of oil, it's not going to mix with your water as well. So you do a little carrier oil, it makes the water moisturizing as well. Or sometimes I'll mix it in the tea with some carrier oil. But the catnip by itself, like I've had it just like when my kids have had like, really high fever, even going up into the hundreds. I've just given them a bath and that they go right to sleep and their fever, usually breaks in a couple days. It's
Wow.
very minimal that I've had to use that, but I've also used it when my kids have been like had certain infections that have made their fever go up. So like nausea, anything that comes with that, it just seems to push whatever's in there out.
Let's talk about challenges that people have and what you suggest to take care of it in terms of an herbal remedy.
Okay. Yeah.
You pick whatever it is.
All right. So typical things, everybody's probably worried about immunity, especially being in the winter time.
Sure.
Uh, when we're getting less sun, not everywhere is like this. We've actually been pretty sunny in Montana where I'm at. But usually when there's less sun, you're not processing as many like vitamins like vitamin D. So a lot of us are prone to that seasonal affective disorder, depression, and that all inherently lowers our immunity as well. One of the most popular ones is probably elderberry. Everybody kind of knows that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Most often turned into a syrup. Um, Kids love that kind of stuff. I make my syrups with honey versus cane sugar. I don't make any of my syrups with cane sugar. It's just, especially with kids who are really young, it some people wonder why their kids are like, my kids just got so much energy. It's like, are you giving them a lot of cane sugar? Because that's the lead up to it. So,
The more I hear and the more I learn, Cane sugar is just horrible, causes inflammation. It's just not good for you. And honey is delicious. Once you start, I went to a farm stand and I still have it left over in the jar uh,
Yeah.
over last fall and just picked
Mhm.
up a jar for like $10 of pure honey. Oh, I could just open the jar up and just, drip some out. It's so good. It's
It
delicious.
is. It's so good. And when you get, there's a place in town where I'm at that has different like flowers that the bees have pollinated. So then the
Yeah.
honey comes out different. And that's the other thing too, is like honey has its own healing properties, especially when it's raw, when you haven't cooked it before. So then you get kind of healing qualities from the bees, from the plants. It's also a great if you have seasonal allergies, if you get honey from your local area, because all the pollen went into that honey, then if you take that honey, it helps with your allergies going into springtime and stuff too.
Wow. You
Mhm.
keep going. This is great. The stuff we're learning
Um,
here. Wow. Okay. All right. So another challenge that somebody might be having, and what herbal remedy you would suggest.
well, so like I was saying, depression is probably a huge one. Being stuck inside, maybe you live in
Sure.
a city, you can't get out as much.
Yep.
Um, St. John's wort is a really great one. It's an interesting quality about it too is it's a blooming like yellow flower. And when it goes in bloom, it blooms literally around the summer solstice. So it's kind of considered like a real like sunflower. It's very tiny and it's got like a red, almost pigment dye in it from the pollen when you pick it. But it's actually been really shown to help with any sort of like depression, anxiety. But on top of that, it also is one of the best when you make it into an oil or take it internally as like an extract. It's really great for cold sores, which is another thing that pops up this season. So that's one of the best things to kind of kill that
Hmm.
infection off. So any sort of um, HSV, um, whether that's shingles on the lip, whichever, it works on all of those. So, helping with your depression and also helping with antiviral stuff. Mhm.
Amazing. So is this stuff, do you make it? Can you concoct it? Yeah, somebody says, "Hey, I'm dealing with blank." Oh, let me make that up for you. Um, and everybody's different. So maybe somebody might say they've got, this challenge, but maybe it's not exactly what everybody else has. And you can pivot a little bit with another ingredient in there. Is that stuff you can make?
Yeah, that's kind of my bread and butter is I love doing kind of more customary things because I feel like that also creates a ceremony for the person because I find illness or any sort of imbalance is asking us to kind of slow down and look within a little bit more, and learn how to take care of ourselves and take time to connect. And so if I find someone who is looking for something specific and maybe just a simple like single herb extract won't do, I like to do tea blends or blending extracts together to make it something more personal. I also do kind of like care packages, so it's like you might get an extract along with a bath salt along with a diffuser blend for if you have an essential oil diffuser at home, so something to kind of approach it from all aspects to kind of create your own little self-care ritual.
Hmm.
Hmm.
So it was only a few months ago where I had my herbal aha moment that this stuff works. What was it for you?
Um, I'd say it was probably mm, working with essential oils. And I know everyone kind of
Hmm.
maybe sometimes gets a bad taste in their mouth with all these essential oil MLMs and stuff that don't necessarily have the actual information behind them. They're just like, just take this and take this many drops, like a bunch of them internally, and not knowing like toxicity or really what's behind it. They're just kind of going off of whatever and they're not super educated in it. Um, but working with essential oils and kind of as I started following inspiration of creating like products and certain things that I wanted around, and watching how when I would like use it on myself, like it would have a better effect than some of the other things I had used previously, or if I had used anything before. Like it seemed like even if things like were still present, like, because obviously herbal stuff is not always going to be like, oh, it's just one and done and it's gone. But it always like shortened the time, it shortened the intensity, and then it also prevented things from coming back later on. So working with herbs, like I make my own like tea ceremony in the morning. I've always loved tea. I switched over to herbal tea a long time ago. Um, and when I kind of just do that every day, I have hardly any illness. If I do get sick, like I fight it off pretty well, but my
Mm.
kids will come home with sicknesses and I'm just able to take care of them without getting sick. Or, it's kind of fun to just reach into my own apothecary cabinet and just give medicine to my kids versus like having to run to urgent care or
Wow.
anything.
And
Mhm.
we talk about essential oils. I have them. I from time to time will do aromatherapy. I'll make up a concoction. I'll find something online, change it up a little bit. But I won't take that internally. That's for you to direct. That's just me, because I know even if I'm making for aromatherapy, what something to relax, whatever it might be, and you go to put the drops in, 2 drops is always 4. It's always like drop, 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 drop. It's like,
Yeah.
and it'd be a train wreck. And I just don't want that responsibility. Even though the oils I use, I found a place very reasonably priced online where it's organic and it's certified. I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah.
But I'm not comfortable in mixing
It's
that up.
really, yeah, it's really not like, I mean, most essential oils, unless it's labeled for internal use, you don't want to use them for internal use. But I don't even advocate for using it internally. I mean, I will sometimes for myself, but it's literally maybe like a drop. If it's something that I'm like, I really need the super strong qualities. But again, it's super concentrated in essential oils. Like, when you get a concentrate, you're not supposed to just directly take a concentrate. You got to dilute it down.
Hmm.
So even applying it to the skin, for aromatherapy purposes, I make a lot of like either like massage oils or certain things for clients that your skin will take it internally. But it with the carrier oil, it just gives it a little bit of a barrier. But your skin is actually one of the most like reactive and permeable parts of yourself. You take in everything around you through your skin. So even just applying things topically will have just as much of an effect as taking it internally. Like for, say, someone with digestive health stuff, I'll make a belly cream for like you do belly massage and it just goes directly into that space.
I'm glad you said that. A lot of us don't realize how impactful it is applying stuff to our bodies can be in terms of absorption. And think of all the stuff we use, all the different moisturizers, sunscreen. Oh my gosh, how many chemicals are in sunscreen?
Oh my
Um,
goodness. Yeah.
and you think you're doing something good to block the sun, but maybe not so much with all the chemicals that
Mhm.
are in there.
Right. Well, and now everybody's acknowledging aluminum-free deodorant because we had a bunch of aluminum in our deodorants before going, and that was leading to breast cancer because we're applying it directly
Yeah.
into our armpits where our breast is. So yeah,
Hmm.
it has everything you take in on your skin, makeup too. Like we're learning about chemicals and makeup, all these things that they're made with. I have a whole booklet I got for a while. I think that's kind of what turned me to herbal medicine too, was when I was reading ingredients and I'm like, I don't even know what this is. I can't say this at all. And
Right.
you go to a plant, you're just like, okay, I know exactly what this is. Mhm.
Just to give an example, and I'll be totally transparent. I always am. Got nothing to hide. I've been dealing with minor skin cancer for decades. Piece pops
Mhm.
up here, there.
Mhm.
It was about a month ago. I had some dry spots right here. I was like, all right, so I have this cream from the dermatologist that I use. And again, just it looks like it's just a cream, like a moisturizer. You put it on. It was only last week that this whole area was one big scab. I'm not even kidding.
Mm.
And it has since come off. It's like fresh baby skin. It's a little pink now. It'll be fine in a week. And everything's gone. But just to show you what you put on, what can get into your body, what's going on there is it's telling your immune system to attack the cells that are not proper. So
Mhm.
just when you put on your body, one little cream like that can do that. We might not know what the other stuff is doing, like the sunscreen, like the moisturizer you're using, all of that. Um, Even when it comes to moisturizing, which is important, with your skin, even if you want to, look younger and not dry and everything, of course, hydrate. What would you suggest? Is there like a carrier oil that would get the job done, but it's holistic?
Well, everybody's skin is also different because you've got like the people on the oily side, people that have different constitutions. Um, so generally, like what I use in my massage practice is jojoba oil as a
Mm-hmm.
base,
Sure.
because it just mimics skin sebum. So it's just more easily like absorbed for our skin. It doesn't tend to have any like allergenic qualities like coconut oil, nut
Mm-hmm.
oils, things like that.
And it's
So I
not
feel
very
like it,
oily either. I just want to say
mm-mm,
it's got a
no,
nice texture. You put it on, it kind of goes in and doesn't annoy.
well, because I found out it's technically a wax. It's even though it says it's an oil, it's more of a wax.
Oh,
So I think that's partially why it doesn't get so oily. But they use it in like everything, and that's always kind of my base oil for just making sure like I don't cause any allergic reactions. I actually do a marshmallow root infused jojoba oil for when it's winter time and it's that really dry season. And that really helps with like cracked skin and different things like that. But if you're wanting deeper, then you just start to kind of go more towards like the butters, like cocoa butter, shea butter. Those are all generally pretty well received as well.
so you have call it a store on your website. I haven't been in
Mhm.
there yet. I looked at the other stuff on it. I love the we didn't even get to the tarot cards. We're going to kind of play with that,
Yeah.
but maybe next time. But tell us about some of the stuff that somebody can get if they go to your website and jump in the store.
Yeah, so my store, online store, kind of updates seasonally. Like I put products in there kind of based on what I've made product wise, because I make my tincture extracts fresh, and those take a couple weeks to a month to sit, depending on like the potency. So it's just kind of what's come out through that cycle and what's kind of more needed during that season. So I kind of do generalized products, and some of those products I use in my massage practice. So you can find things like tinctures, tea blends, bath bombs. I've got chemical-free candles. So I make everything small batch with organic and sustainable products, either through companies that I trust or I do some wild harvesting here in Montana as well in the seasonal time.
Wow.
Uh, so it just, yeah, kind of depends on the season, what's available at the time that I get the ingredients. And then if there's like a custom product, I usually have somebody book through me with a botanical clinic consultation. And that includes 3 products that are specifically for you. But I also have some care package like deals. And then also locally, I kind of do a little delivery like service, kind of like a medicine box delivery service thing.
You're
So
like a modern day medicine woman.
that's thanks. That's what I call
Right?
myself the friendly neighborhood green witch. So,
Ah, I love it. And teas,
mhm,
like we're speaking the same language. I never liked teas until I started doing a ginger tea, lemon tea blends
mhm,
recently. I remember when I was a kid, my grandmother would always have a cup of tea, and I'm like, oh, God, you're old. Wow, come on. Now I love tea. First thing, I don't even do coffee. I do tea and love it. Like, look forward to it. I don't even put milk in it. It's just so, I don't know, it's just so robust. It's just so good. And good for you at the same time. Not to say the coffee isn't, but with tea, with the right blend, you can address certain things. It's amazing. Wow. What's your website, Kat?
So it's www.katalyst.holisticarts.com.
Spell that again.
So Katalyst is spelled with a K instead of a C. So Katalyst, holistic, HOLISTIC, and arts, plural, ARTS.
Awesome. Thank you for all the details. And it's, isn't it funny? What's new is really old. Like a lot of people like me discovering this holistic and herbal remedies, and it's been around for centuries, like literally centuries. It's so cool. And that's just a part of what you offer in terms of helping people heal. So check out the website. Maybe next time we get together, we can do the card pull.
Yeah. I'll
Awesome.
have them around. They're always around me.
Beautiful. As is other energy as well, because you have very positive energy, and you're and the passion to help people too.
Thank you.
For sure.
And thank you for letting me come on to talk about it as well.
My pleasure. I love it. Thanks so much, and we'll talk soon. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good.
We'll be right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.